Good afternoon. We're starting to welcome you one after another. Uh, we'll give a 2 minutes for your colleagues to join before we start today's session. So get yourself a cup of coffee, a glass of water, settle comfortably with your headsets, or if you're in a room listening with your colleagues. So let's settle in. We have a big audience today, so we need to give it a few minutes for everybody to join. I love it when I see repeat names, so welcome to everyone, or welcome back. Kim, lovely to have you, our amazing managing director in Egypt. So lovely to see you virtually. Welcome. Mark, I see you in the morning and I see you in the afternoon. That's a privilege. We had today a Dubai city briefing. So for those that are based in Dubai, we all still have our Dubai tag on our jackets. So Mark was with me this morning. One more minute. Rania, our guest star from Egypt. I hear all about you, Rania. I hope I will see you and meet you in person in Cairo very soon. Welcome, Habibti. I can actually say something about everyone on that list, but then we will never finish, Heidi. Perfect. We are now 4:02. And with that, I say welcome to all of you. And after a long Eid break, it's a pleasure to welcome you back to our weekly webinars hosted by HSMAI. But today is a special day because before we really start, I want you to imagine being placed in a simulation environment where an entire year of business performance is compressed in just 5 weeks, and where you can actually see directly the impact of every single decision you make on the success of the business. And by decisions, I don't mean only from the commercial sense, but I also mean it from renovation, from closing a restaurant, opening a restaurant, and many factors that impact the business throughout a entire year of performance. Now, even imagine being able to see how your colleagues or your competitors are performing based on the decisions that they are making at the same time that you are. So that whole simulation environment that we put our executives in is really the essence behind the CHBA, or the certification or the certified in a hospitality business acumen program. CHBA is one of the 4 certification programs that HSMAI offers globally. As a reminder, the certifications are CRME for revenue, CHDM for digital marketing, CHSL for sales, and CHBA for business acumen. But CHBA in specific, and since we launched it in July of 2023, has been quite high in demand. And so far, we have certified 135 professionals with the support of Heidi, of course, but not only from commercial discipline, but we've had executives from operation, finance, F&B, general management, and both on property and above property. That's the beauty of the certification, because business acumen is not really for general management or commercial. Business acumen skills is a must-have for every single hospitality executive. Today, our speaker is not really a guest because Heidi is part of the HSMAI global family. We're delighted to welcome you back, Heidi Anaya, Head of Education at Russell Partnership Technology and the global facilitator of both our CHBA program and the CHSL, or the Certified Hospitality Sales Leader Program. My Jean and Geraldine will quickly run in the chat the link to the CHBA certification. So after today, you may want to read more about it. But the good news is in 2026, we still have two cohorts running and planned for 2026. The next virtual program will take place from the 15th of July till the 12th of August, 5 weeks. And then the last one for 2026 will be 9th of September till the 7th of October. CHBA is a program that Mia runs every single year since we started in July 2023 and only goes on the rise. So if I'm sure Heidi will later on share the link with you. If you're interested to learn more, Jean will be more than happy to provide you with that information. But today, Heidi cannot run a 5 week simulation program in 1 hour, but what she can definitely discuss is the power of business acumen in today's changing hospitality landscape. And we in MIA know exactly what does that mean, because what we are living and navigating since February is intense. We have increased complexities, we have shifting market demands, we don't know what tomorrow is bringing us. And the need for all of us to make smarter, faster, and more commercially driven and informed decision has never been more a must. So before I leave the floor to Heidi, I would like to remind you of some housekeeping notes. So you are able, yes, you are all on webinar mode, but you are allowed to ask, not allowed, what am I talking about? We encourage you to ask as many questions as you want throughout the session. There is no Q&A session at the end. You can easily raise your hand and Jean will immediately switch on your camera and audio on, and you can ask your question directly to Heidi, or you can write me your question in the Q&A and I will be more than happy to be your voice of God and ask Heidi the question on your behalf. So please, this is not a one-way educational course. No, this is a two-way engaged webinar. Ask as many questions as you want. With that said, I leave you. I go into my voice of God mode and I leave you in the safe hands of Heidi. Heidi, over to you, my dear.
Hey, well, thank you so much. And Mona and Jean and Geraldine, thank you so much for thinking to include me in this exciting series. And I'm certainly delighted to have an opportunity to be able to welcome all of you and to talk to you about something that is very, very near and dear to my heart, and that is the CHBA program, and also just the power of business acumen. And I don't use that word lightly. I think that there's a lot that comes with having business acumen and really honing your business acumen. So in my presentation today, I'd like to talk about a number of different things. So first, I'll tell you just a little bit about myself so that you know who I am. And then I want to define business acumen. What is it? So that we have a sense of that before we go further and before we then dive into what is the CHBA. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Certified in Hospitality Business Acumen program, how it works, and certainly what the key concepts are of the course. From there, why is it valuable? Kind of the what's in it for me, and maybe just as importantly, why now? And so we'll certainly talk about that. And then who really should consider taking this important course? And then I'm going to leave all of you with a little bit of a call to action, something that I hope very much that you'll do following our time together today. So once again, my name is Heidi Anaya, and I am the head of education with a company called Russell Partnership Technology. We are a UK-based company. I myself am based in the United States. And Russell Partnership Technology is the leading provider of hotel simulations. So Mona referenced simulation in her introduction, and I'm going to talk a little more about simulation here in a bit. But my role in Russell Partnership Technology is I'm the head of education. So I actually work both with industry and academia And we have over 200 academic institutions around the globe that are using simulation, and all with an eye toward preparing the future hospitality leaders of tomorrow. But we do lots and lots of work in industry as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my presentation too. So for myself, I've been the course facilitator since 2011. I actually earned my CHBA in the summer of 2011 and became the course facilitator later on that year. And it's really been my pleasure to deliver this in both a virtual format as well as doing this on site in a number of different places over the years. My hospitality experience is very lengthy, 35 years working in or with the hospitality industry. I know some of you are thinking, how's this possible? Clearly, I was 3 years old when I began. On the contrary, started in the hospitality industry, though at a young age, at the age of 17, and really never looked back. And so, really, my privilege to be able to work with the hospitality industry now, and just have this continued involvement. I am an adjunct lecturer as well in the field of revenue management at a number of different hospitality schools around the globe, as part of my role as head of education with Russell Partnership Technology and using our simulation programs. And probably one of the most important kind of side roles that I have right now, I'm very pleased to be the vice president of a terrific federation called EMEA CRE, and that stands for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And CRE is the Council on Hotel, Restaurant, and Institutional Education. So this is a federation that very much supports hospitality education in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I'm very honored to be the current vice president, and I'll assume the role of president this summer. And we actually have a conference that's scheduled to come to Dubai in November. So very, very excited to be able to do that and to work with the Dubai College of Tourism for that conference. So that's just a little bit about me, and certainly, again, very, very excited to have the platform to be able to share about the CHBA program. So let's talk a little bit about what is hospitality business acumen. So first and foremost, what does it mean to have business acumen? Well, it's first and foremost understanding how hotels operate. It's understanding how hotels generate profit, and it's understanding how we compete in the market in a hospitality environment. It really involves seeing the big picture. And when I talk about the simulation activity that's part of this course, I think that's going to really help to define the big picture idea. And certainly the importance of using financial and operational data to make informed decisions. Lots and lots of data. And I'm talking to a group of hoteliers, so I know you all know just how much data there is. But if you're on the revenue management side, you may not be as familiar with the sales side. If you're on the sales side, you may not be as familiar with RM. If you're on the finance side, you may know the numbers, but not necessarily how they're derived. So this course really is going to hone in on the big picture. And that's a huge part of business acumen, understanding every facet of a hotel's operation. It's about balancing guest satisfaction with both cost control and efficiency. Of course, we want guests to be happy. We want them to return, but we need to be able to do that in a way that makes sense and in a way that's efficient and in a way that ultimately allows us to be very, very mindful of our costs. And finally, business acumen is all about developing leadership skills that really improve both communication as well as team performance. I'm sure there's many of us on the line that can think of a leader that we've had at some point in our hospitality careers who was very inspiring and someone who made you want to be better and made you want to follow their lead. Similarly, I imagine there's some of us on the line too that can think of a leader that maybe knew their stuff. They were very, very efficient at the numbers and the strategy, but they weren't necessarily good with communication or with leadership. We sometimes forget that leadership is absolutely a key component of business acumen. You cannot be successful in the world of hospitality and as a business acumen specialist if you do not have the right leadership skills. So, at a high level, that's what hospitality business acumen is. So, what is the CHBA? Well, the CHBA, very simply, is a 5 week online course. So, much like Mona said, 5 very intensive weeks that are comprised of basically 3 components. So, the first is e learning, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. The second piece is the simulation, which I'll absolutely talk about and even share a little screen grab or two, and some weekly web conferences. So the e-learning consists of weekly learning modules, and there are 4 in total. And I have a slide that'll talk a little bit about the key concepts and what those learning modules cover. But each week, participants complete 1 learning module. Each module takes about an hour to complete, so it's spread out over the time of the course. And there are 4 learning modules which comprise the theory of the course. So all of the know-how and the important aspects of the course are really confined into those weekly learning modules. So that's part 1 of the course. Part 2 is a live simulation competition. So imagine you become a general manager instantly when you join the CHBA course, but you're the general manager of a hotel in a simulated environment. So it's a hotel that is in a competitive set that's comprised of all of the other participants in the course. So it's a true to life, dynamic, direct, competitive environment, much like we operate in reality. You don't work in a silo. And so in the simulated environment, in the course, you are working in an environment where you're not only impacted by what you do, but you're also impacted by what your competition does. And the simulation competition is designed to be the application of the theory in the e-learning modules. So those weekly learning modules teach about a variety of different items that I'll share with you on the next slide. The simulation competition allows you to actually practice it and apply it. Now, the value of simulation, I work with simulation every single day, as I mentioned. The value of simulation is it's learning by doing. We live in a world where we're very hands on, and certainly having the ability to be able to plan, to do, to review, and then go back and figure out what we need to change. That's the essence of what simulation is. It's also the safest environment in which to experiment. And I always encourage course participants to experiment a little, take a few risks, see what might happen if you were to do something that you might not necessarily do in your own real hotel environment. Simulation is the perfect place to take chances, to experiment, to make mistakes, because no one gets fired, no one bankrupts their hotel. It's designed to be an environment where you are able to very clearly see the cause and effect of your decision. Now, it would be very easy for me to make everyone the general manager of a fantastic hotel at the beginning of the course, but I make it a little more challenging. Everyone takes over an underperforming hotel. So it's a hotel that's been open for about 8 years, and the hotel has not had much success during that time. It's starting to be a little bit run down already. There's issues with the associates. There's been some complaints from the guests. Finances aren't good. And so the ultimate task of each participant is to turn their hotel around. So to basically come in and figure out what they need to do in order to move their hotel from the red into the green and into an area where guests are satisfied, associates are engaged, and they have their sole place in the market. So perhaps a little visual would make it a little helpful to be able to see. So what I've done is I've actually pulled up, and I'm going to bring it up onto my screen right now. I have pulled up a copy of the very first CHBA competition that we did, simulation competition back in 2023. So you might even recognize a name or two along here if you know any of these people. I know it's only first names, but these were our very first graduates, our very first certified in the region. And so what you're looking at now is RevSim. And RevSim is the leading simulation at Russell Partnership Technology. And it's the simulation we've been using in the CHBA for over 15 years. As I mentioned before, the way that it works is that everyone is competing against one another. So you comprise your own competitive set. And again, your decisions ultimately impact not only yourself, but those around you as well. So you have an opportunity to be able to initially learn about your hotel, learn about the market, learn about the area. And then from there, assume the role of general manager, where you're going to be responsible for a number of different decisions. So bear with me a second, and I'm just going to take us in to our decision screen. So give me just a moment here. So as you can see under this tab here, and I'm showing you a facilitator's view, so in a participant's view is a little bit different. Everything from rooms forecast all the way down to loan payment are the decision screens that participants are required to work through. So as you can see, this is whole hotel operations. So at a very, very high level, it's creating a rooms forecast. So it's determining what occupancy you're going to be at, how much pickup you're going to have for each segment, and ultimately, where are you going to set your rates? There's a whole page devoted to channel management. Where do you feel the business is going to come through, and understanding distribution costs? There's a food and beverage element. So this is a hotel that has a restaurant. It has meeting and function space. So this is forecasting covers and also setting average checks. Likewise, for the beverage side of things, for a lounge, for room service as well. The food and beverages screen is all about costing. So it gives you a little bit of exposure to how to set your food and beverage cost percentage. So that's a cost of goods, what it costs to put the food on the plate or the drink in the glass. The next three screens, refurbishment, facilities, and services, are all capital investment screens. So every hotel is given money in what we refer to as a replacement reserve. So basically a fund that's used for the exclusive purpose of capital investments. So refurbishing the hotel, remember I said it's starting to lose a little bit of its quality. So this would be allowing you to perform things like renovations or soft goods redos, or even just contract cleanings. There's also the ability to add additional facilities to add value to the property and attract more business, and also to add additional services. No hotel is complete without a staffing element, and the staffing piece in this simulation is very robust. There's three parts to the staffing screen. It's about deciding how many people to have working, what you want to pay them, and how much money you want to spend on training. I think we all know the value of training. Obviously, when you train people, they're better equipped to take good care of your guests. And certainly, they're far more likely to stay working for you because they feel more competent, they feel more confident, and as a result, you have less turnover. So the staffing piece is very, very important. And much like in reality, the staffing piece is based around your forecast. So if your forecast is accurate, you're going to have the right number of people working. If you've over or under forecasted, you may run into challenges relating to the number of staff you have working. Marketing and advertising, for those of you that are on the line, that's your role in reality. You'll be happy to see this screen. And this screen is all about how do you promote your hotel? How do you get people in? How do you get competitive data? One of the things we're very proud of is we have a very long-term relationship with the CoStar Academic Group, formerly STR, and we are able to include a live copy of the STAR report for the competitive set within the simulation. And then finally, there's a loan payment option that becomes visible partway through the year. Once everyone has a lot of cash, they have the ability to be able to put an additional principal payment down on the loan. So that's the front side of the simulation at really a 34,000-foot view. Now, as I mentioned, it's all about planning, and that's done through a wide variety of information documents that tell you about the hotel, its history, its past performance, and the future outlook. Every hotel at the very beginning is identical, but the decisions that each participant makes ultimately are what shapes the competition and really turns it into a competitive environment. Now, the simulation is operated on a quarterly basis. So, over the course of the 5 weeks of the course, individuals are going to complete 4 sets of decisions, one set for each of the second, third, fourth, and fifth weeks. The first week is orientation. And each week, as I cycle or advance the simulation forward from one quarter to the next, participants then have the ability to be able to look at reports. So, huge variety of different reports that provide all sorts of very helpful data to understand what's gone well and what hasn't. Remember the cause and effect that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Participants are also given their own full set of financial statements, which, as you're going to see momentarily, financial statements are a huge part of the course theory within the CHBA. And then also there's some trend graphs available. So if you're more of a visual learner, certainly those are going to be very valuable in terms of being able to see exactly the pattern that the hotel has followed in areas such as occupancy, market mix, and so on. Now, me as the facilitator, I also have access to a wide variety of comparative results, and probably the one that participants like to see the most, and I'm happy to share it with all of you. I'm going to jump right to the very end of this group, and I'm going to bring up here on the screen a copy of the scorecard. Now, much like other hotels, the scorecard is a really important element, and what it does is it basically shows all of the hotels side by side, and it looks at their performance in 4 critical areas: market performance, financial performance, guest satisfaction, and associate engagement. You can't have the best hotel in the competitive set if you don't have a good blend of all of those things. And if you take a look at these numbers, you can see that the hotel who ultimately won, and if you happen to know Roland, which I suspect some of you do, Roland Lapitan, he was the winner. So if you see him again and you know him, give him a high five. The reason why he won this particular simulation competition is because his hotel had the best overall balance of performance. Strong market, good financials, really good guest satisfaction, and very, very positive associate engagement. So it's a competition. The prize, bragging rights more than anything, but certainly the biggest prize is the knowledge that comes with it. I always share the story that when I first took the CHBA, I competed in a hotel simulation competition. I wasn't working with Russell Partnership Technology yet, and I came in last. And I was very disappointed, but I remember the instructor said to me, "Did you learn anything?" And I said, "I learned everything. I learned all the things I shouldn't have done." And you know what? That stayed with me because sometimes we learn as much from what we shouldn't have done than from the things that we did do. And I'm going to say it turned out okay. So I could spend all day talking to you about simulation, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor of what the simulation program looks like and how it works. Needless to say, if you decide to join a future class, you're going to have very extensive orientation relating to how to use the software, but it's very, very intuitive. And I can tell you the 135 certified individuals from your region all had a lot of fun with it, but they also learned a lot as they went through it. So I'm going to move back into my presentation and carry on in telling you a little bit about the CHBA course. So obviously that live simulation competition is a pretty integral part of this course. We also get together once per week for a group web conference. It's a 60-minute web conference, and it's purely designed to talk about the simulation, to talk about the weekly learning module, to help prepare for the knowledge exam to earn the certification. And that's at a set time, generally Wednesdays, ironically at this exact same time. And that's a really, really important linking piece of this course in order to help you to earn certification. And the very last piece is the certification exam. So the certification exam is a multiple choice exam, and it is taken online, and it's based around the content in the weekly learning modules. Passing grade is 80% or 40 correct answers out of 50. And that's how you earn your certification. In case you're wondering, your time commitment associated with this course is approximately 3 to 4 hours per week. I can tell you it's much heavier and more intensive in the first couple of weeks. By probably week 4 or 5, I'm going to say you're probably closer to 2 to 3 hours of time per week. Now, what's nice about it is that outside of the group web conference time, everything else is flex time, meaning you can complete the learning module, you can complete your simulation decisions at a time of your choosing. There are weekly deadlines, and the weekly deadlines are very, very important, but you absolutely have flexibility as to when you work on the different elements of the course. So that's an overview of the components of the CHBA. Let's talk a little bit about the key concepts of the CHBA. So I mentioned about the 4 learning modules, and the 4 learning modules follow the following information or content. So the very first module is all about using financial statements to determine action to ensure operational efficiency and cost control. So it's learning how to read a P&L. It's learning how to read and understand a balance sheet, a cash flow statement. I'm certain there are many of you on the line that have not had exposure to these financial statements. Or if you did, it was in university and it's been a while, and maybe it wasn't your favorite subject. I like to call this finance without tears. We make it so that it's kind of fun and certainly relatable, but it's important. And for you to have a voice at the table to be able to understand the financial acumen of your hotel is very, very important. So that's the first module that you then get to apply directly in your simulation environment because you're going to have your own set of financial statements for your simulated hotel. The second piece is about lodging metrics. We know that there are so many lodging metrics out there, ADR and RevPAR, and the list goes on. And it's using those metrics to really analyze results and to create and execute strategies. It's great to know what your ADR was, but then what do you want to do with it? How do you want to grow it? Or how do you want to ultimately stabilize it? And so we dive deep into the world of lodging metrics. And certainly there's many that I'm sure that you're familiar with, but inevitably there's going to be 1 or 2 that might be new and might be ones that can then help you in your day-to-day real role. The third piece is about communicating results. I talked earlier about the leadership component of business acumen. We have an entire module that's focused on communication. We all communicate differently, and that's okay. But this module talks about how do we inspire others? How do we communicate with others? How do we build the interpersonal connections with other people and be really the best leaders we can be? It's fine to know the numbers, but if you don't know how to communicate them and inspire others and motivate others, you're not going to be as successful as someone who is able to do that. And then the very final module in the CHBA is partnering and ownership goals. I'm going to imagine the majority of people on the line have never owned a hotel before, and this will give an opportunity to be able to really see what it looks like from an ownership perspective, looking at an ownership agreement, understanding what some of the priorities are for owners. And I know a lot of people tell me it's one of their favorite parts of the course because it's all very new. And some people have never even met the owners of the hotel that they work in. So to have an understanding of what drives ownership's goals is a key element of this CHBA program. So let's talk about the value of this course. So why is it so valuable? Well, I'm hoping that even through the things I've shared with you up to this point, you're starting to see how it could be valuable to you. Well, long-term success in this industry really depends on 3 things. Financial literacy. You have to know the finance side. Now, no one has to, become the finance manager or the director of finance, but to be able to have a conversation and be at the table talking about finances is critical, especially in today's world. It's understanding revenue management. And anyone who's in revenue management on the line is probably cheering a little bit right now, and that's a good thing. But it's understanding revenue management. It's understanding how to yield space accordingly. It's understanding the strategy that goes into revenue management. I have a lot of sales leaders that take this course and they say, this gives me a better understanding of revenue management. And to be fair, I have a lot of revenue managers who go through this course and they say, now I understand a little bit more about the sales side of things. And at the end of the day, it's all about strategic decision making. So, regardless of role, it's understanding that we can't just be making random decisions. It's got to be with strategy behind it. Long term success depends on it. Obviously, it's so valuable because helps leaders to really identify opportunities to increase revenues. So you have the opportunity to be able to look at demand, to look at things that are going on in the market, to look at things within your own simulated hotel and be able to figure out what can I do to be able to increase revenue, whether it's promotions, whether it's increasing the level of training to really improve the staffing so that it appeals to more people, whether it's doing refurbishments to better your product, whether it's elevating your food and beverage experience. Lots of opportunities to be able to identify ways to increase revenue. It's valuable too because this course supports smarter budgeting and expense management. So there's a huge forecasting element in the simulation, and it really brings to light the importance of accuracy in forecasting. But we all know that revenue is only half of it. And I know for some of us, where I know my background is sales, I was a lot more about the revenue than I was about the expenses. It gives everyone an opportunity to be able to understand the expense side of the business. There's a lot of money that goes in to making money. And so the simulation provides a phenomenal opportunity to really understand the importance of expense management and the importance of accuracy in forecasting and accuracy in budgeting. Obviously, this course improves decision making during industry changes too. So if we think about this in a true to life situation where things are changing, potentially by the day, the more that we can adapt, the more that we can improve our decision making skills, the better off we're going to be and the more successful we're going to be. It also is a great opportunity to be able to strengthen leadership confidence and also career growth. I have a lot of people that go through the CHBA that say, I eventually would like to be a general manager. And this to me is the right step to include in my path. I can tell you years ago through HSMAI North America, I did a number of classes with Accor hotels. And the CHBA, this was pre pandemic, was part of the general manager track at that time. For anyone that was in a leadership role that was looking to become a general manager, they had about 15 different things they had to do, but the CHBA was one of them. So for those looking to grow their career, the value of this course is paramount. It also really brings to light the importance of all facets of the hotel operation. So, as I mentioned before, this scorecard looks at market, financial, guest satisfaction, and associate engagement. You can't have the best hotel if you only have good numbers. You can't have the best hotel if you only have happy guests. You can't have the best hotel if you only have associates that are engaged. It's looking at the overall picture and recognizing the impact of all facets of hotel operation. So it's truly a 360-degree view of hospitality operations. So why now? Obviously, it's valuable, but why is it valuable at this point in time? Well, let's talk about that. Technology is constantly changing. I think we all know this, but so are guest expectations. I started in the hospitality industry back in 1991. I have seen guest expectations change. Guests, if I dare say, are a lot smarter now. They're a lot more informed. They're a lot more aware. They have a lot more resources at their fingertips. So often they already know so much before they ever get in touch with your property or they walk in the door for their stay. So we need to keep up And that's why this program is such an important piece of that. Let's face it, data-driven decisions are becoming standard practice. Gone are the days of just sort of randomly deciding to do things. Now it's all about using the data to really make sure that we are making the right decisions for the right reasons. There are a lot of labor challenges out there, and we know that there are huge economic shifts. Many of you are living that right now. And the word adaptability, obviously, is a pretty key word. Things are constantly changing in the industry, certainly within your region, throughout the globe as well. And so the value of this course and really understanding adaptability and changing your plan midway because of seeing the cause and effect of decisions allows you to be able to be more adaptable in reality. Future leaders need to combine service skills with business strategy. So service is very important. We all know this, but it's so important that we have strategy and that we're focused on our business strategy. And finally, and I think maybe most importantly, the guest experience, no matter how amazing it is, isn't always enough. We have to be good at the other things that are on the screen. Yes, it's great if our guests are happy, but at the end of the day, we aren't just doing this for the benefit of the guests. We're also doing this to make sure that we're keeping owners happy, managers happy, that we're doing right by people, that we're operating in an ethical manner. So, as much as the guest experience is so critical, it's a piece of the puzzle. And the business acumen side of that becomes the other completing piece of the puzzle. So, who should take this course? Well, salespeople, marketing people, those in revenue management, anyone in operations, anyone on the finance side, general managers that are either newer in their roles or have been doing this a while and want to brush up on some of the key elements of hospitality operations and maybe put a couple of extra tools into their tool belts. I'm going to guess that of those of you that are on the line right now, you fall in one of these 6 categories. And what this is basically saying is that if you are in a hospitality leadership role, leadership at any level, doesn't have to be a director level, it can be at a manager level, this course is for you. And I think that we've had some finance leaders that have gone through this course and have found it to be extraordinarily valuable because they understand the numbers side. They don't necessarily understand the front side of where all those numbers come from. And so big audience that this is open to. Mona, please, a question.
Not a question, but a comment when you said about the finance, because
Yes.
some of the comments that we received afterwards from financial controllers was, okay, now I understand why sales did that, or now I understand why revenue insisted on something.
Yeah.
So I think beyond and above the direct is the interconnection between the different departments and understanding how every one person impacts the other. And I'm saying what I'm saying based on the feedback that we keep on receiving from your students. Thank you, Heidi.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. We had our first finance leader go through this course within the last probably 18 months. And he admitted to me that he was very unsure whether or not this was the course for him. And he may well be one of the people that spoke with Mona after. And I know he certainly spoke with me and he said, this was eye-opening for me. So if you have any concern that this course is not for you, the audience is so broad that I've had directors of engineering be a part of it, directors of housekeeping, all facets of hotel operations. If you want to learn more about other areas of the hotel industry, this is absolutely the course for you. So that's who should consider taking the course. Just to inspire you a little bit, who has taken the CHBA? Well, I'm delighted to share the following. And these are some of the beautiful and handsome faces of individuals that have been a part of the CHBA. Obviously, we couldn't fit 135 people on the screen, but these are some of the great individuals that have been a part of the course. Maybe you recognize colleagues or friends or people that you've met over the years. And if you have, I encourage you to have a conversation with them. Find out what they liked about the course. Find out what they've been able to apply from the course. I've stayed in contact with many of our CHBAs, and I'm always so happy when someone says to me, I've really used this particular element of the course to make me better at what I do in my role. So, as I wrap up this presentation, I want to give you a call to action. And that call to action is I hope you'll consider registering for one of the two remaining courses this year. I know Mona shared the dates at the very beginning. I'm going to share them again. So, the next class will begin on July the 15th, and it will run through to and including August the 12th. Space is limited. So, if you are interested, I would encourage you to look at registering very, very soon. Registration will close before the end of June. The other course will run from September 9th to October 7th, and there's space available in that course as well. If you are interested in registering, I would encourage you to contact Jean. Who doesn't love talking to Jean? That's always a highlight of my day. Or certainly go to the website. Or I know previously Jeristine had shared in the chat the link also for registering for the July course. So please, please feel free to do so. And I would be delighted to welcome you in to the course. With that being said, before I wrap up my portion, I just wanted to do a quick check-in just to see if there were any other questions. Mona?
Heidi, I have to say today we had no questions. The clarity of what you delivered based on the fact that it's 5 a.m. your time is amazing. I don't know how many coffees did you have so far before
Just one.
before
Just
this,
one.
but really, I would say thank you very much for this very high level on what the CHBA program is all about. I think we intentionally wanted to put this webinar as part of our webinar series even though it has a bit of a sales pitch element to it, it was important because, oh, Amit, I'll give you 1 minute. Give me 1 second. I want to explain why it was so important for us to put this webinar today is because of everything that is happening in our environment. So, and because I know that there is some time needed when someone commits to a CHBA. And I think time is something that we have a bit more at the moment, especially in summer and especially now. So I think it's super timely from a content perspective and a time perspective. With that said, I will leave first Amit. Amit, you have a question for Heidi? Please go ahead and unmute yourself. Amit. Okay, we move to Abhijit. Can you unmute yourself? Jean, can you help? Okay, looks like Abhijit and Amit by mistake may have raised the hand and they don't have a questions. Am I correct? Maybe you can send me a question on the Q&A. Okay, looks like it's an error. With that said, I say thank you very much, Heidi, for today. A quick round of, we have one more raised hands. Who's raising hands and I'm unable to see? Ashish, you have a question?
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
perfect. Yes,
Hello.
Ashish.
I just wanted to, it wasn't a question really, but I just wanted to say thank you very much for this session. It was very enlightening. And Heidi, thank you very much. Last couple of years back, I did this program,
I
and
remember.
I just wanted to advocate. It's not just because I am very closely associated with HSMI, but this program really made a big change in my career growth as well. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ashish.
Ashish.
I remember you well. Nice to hear your voice again.
Same here, Ati. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. A quick form of feedback, as you very well know. We love to gather your feedback immediately after the session. So can I have the feedback screen, please? So we can scan the QR code, take 2 minutes, it's actually 1 minute of your time, and give us your feedback. So I'll allow you 1 minute before I move to a very important discussion, this time on sustainability and what the webinar that we're running next week on green. Very different is the session we have planned for next week.
And
One
Mona,
more
just let me
minute.
know when you'd like me to move it. Absolutely.
Yes. I'm just going to give it 1 minute really for the feedback. We don't need more than that. One more minute for feedback. Jerestine, are we getting the feedback in?
Yes, we are.
Perfect. Thank you, Habibti. Perfect. I think we gathered enough feedback by now. And before we close and say thank you very much for attending today, I want to share the session for next week. And next week's session is actually quite an interesting discussion and topic because apparently, as of September of this year, many of the claims that we use, being green, being eco-friendly, we can no longer use in our marketing or content moving forward as of September unless it is backed up by specific certifications. This is a changing rule as of September, and we thought it is timely to get you ready first to understand what are these new rules and regulations that have been put in place and what can we today do about it specifically from a commercial lens hat. So what should we change or do in our messaging or in our marketing content. So Radhika is our sustainability partner of HSMAI. She runs most of our content around sustainability for the hospitality community, and that's the session for next week. So this is the registration link. Feel free to go ahead and register for next week's session. Are you still getting feedback, Jerestine? Or we can say thank you and goodbye. Jerestine?
We are still getting feedback.